Want to build a roller coaster? Well, what about a radical roller coaster? Well, I'm teaching you whether you like it or not.
Okay.
In order to build a radical roller coaster, we're going to need some radical functions and equations.
Yeah.
So grab your calculators and get ready to calculate the radical square root equations and radical functions and get them to force to work through graphing.
Yeah.
Since our radical coaster has 3 miles worth of track, we must discover how many tracks per foot.
Are we done yet?
Alright, we'll come here and get up in my commercial. Alright. So how do you figure how many tracks there are per foot? Like this! So after we get the discriminant by itself and simplify the formula, we have our radical answer.
That's great. Can I go home
And
now?
now we're going to justify it with the calculator and some radical functions. Oh, now that that works, we need to work on our radical roller coaster. But wait, you want to learn more? Well, we are, because this is for an Algebra 2 project, and I have a job to do. I have to teach you something. I gotta teach. So, do we need a plus or minus sign? No, because that only comes in when you take the square root from something. Do we need absolute value signs? No, because we don't.
Cool. I guess.
Now we need to find the radius and length of our cylinders that are going to be holding up our radical roller coaster. And what do we need to find that out? A calculator and radical functions! Oh! So, now we need to make sure the cylinders work. Using the formula y equals the square root of 8x minus h plus k, we can determine whether or not the cylinders will work. So since it's not negative, that means it will not cross the x-axis. What's an x-axis, you ask? That's the horizontal line on the graph. That means that the y-axis is the vertical line on the graph. But since it didn't cross the x-axis, that means it worked.
Yeah?
And then the x stays the same because it does. It's a variable. A variable is a symbol, usually a letter that represents one or more numbers. And the x also stays the same because it's from an algebraic expression, which is the phrase that contains one or more variables. But if you want to see more radical equations and functions, get my radical book, How to Build a Radical Roller Coaster.
No, you know, no!
This is my commercial. This is my commercial.